after me.
All right.
This council report. I'm willing to do it as long as you're willing to take a drink.
Call to order the meeting of Mayor and Council. Thank you all for being here. If you will rise for the invocation by Councilman Henderson.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all things. We thank you for all the provisions that make Seaford such a great place to live. We ask that you be with us as we deliberate tonight and that the decisions are pleasing in your eyes. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's not? Sorry. Yeah, I didn't catch that. We do, for litigation.
Just so I can skip on. Okay, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, as a reminder, we do have an executive session following this meeting. You've all received the minutes from our last meeting on July 11th. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion to receive those minutes.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman McCoy. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, we have public comment. Are we doing public comment after our public hearing?
No,
Or
go ahead.
we can do public comment now. Do we have anybody here tonight for public comment?
Dan Cannon.
Mr. Cannon, would you like to come up, please?
First of all, I'd like to say, extend some kudos to Chief Marshal Kraft for securing another grant to benefit Seaford. Sounds like there's a lot of grant money available out there if Seaford only would seek it. But to the point of my main comments. Okay, Representative Danny Short has cited the Department of Elections Commissioner Anthony Albence's belief that a move of municipal elections to November to dramatically improve voter turnout and remedy other immunity election problems cannot be done. In addition, the proposed charter change to allow 200 plus 30 non-persons to vote, a red herring issue which diverted attention away from real problems affecting municipal elections, has achieved a zombie-like status for the time being. Neither non-person enfranchisement or Representative Short have offered remedies for serious evidence-based problems plaguing municipal elections, including 1. The number one real problem. Nearly 4,800 eligible voters in Seaford did not vote on April 15th of this year. This emphatically confirms and compounds the long-standing problem of woeful voter turnouts in Seaford's and many other municipalities' elections. 2, early voting offered by the Department of Elections is a much more efficient and effective alternative to voting by absentee ballot and has the potential to enhance voter turnout. However, to the best of my knowledge, early voting is unavailable to voters in municipal elections. 3, in Seaford, the April 2022 April elections were in the middle of a significant Easter holiday weekend, a conflict to be repeated in 2025, 2028, and 2030 in Seaford. Holding any elections in conflict with major holidays runs the risk of undesirable negative effects on voter turnout and participation. And 4, in Seaford, there have been documented instances of volunteer election officials demonstrating outright partisanship and or lack of competence during 2 recent, the 2020 and 2022, local elections, casting doubt on the overall integrity of municipal elections. Representative Short has publicly lamented that some of these problems are disappointing, and they are, and or disheartening. However, as moving muni elections to November allegedly won't work, and there are no other proposed remedies from Representative Short, the Mayor and City Council of Seaford are left with a responsibility to address and solve these problems, especially extremely low voter turnout. Let's not pretend enfranchising non-persons is not a legitimate remedy for any of these problems. Therefore, what do you, Mayor and City Council, propose to do?
What do you propose to do? Nothing or something? Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else here for public comment? Okay. At this time, just to be productive with our time, we have a public hearing at 7:05, but if we'll jump down to new business number 2, I'll invite up Ms. Hickey to walk us through the bids on Porta-Johns.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
We had 4 bidders participate in this last round of bidding for Porta-Johns for the city facilities. And after reaching out to a few of the references, it is my recommendation to recommend the next 2-year contract awarded to Sussex Sanitation in the amount of $13,940 for the first year, and in a total amount, if all services go well, for $41,820.
For public's information, can you sort of share where we have Porta-Johns throughout the city? And it's a lot of money that we spend a year on these things. Are they strictly for events, or do we have them permanently at certain locations?
No, we have them in several of our parks, especially the complex. We provide some for SCSC pool, as well as the golf course. And then we do, but mostly just public, for public use in our parks.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions from City Council? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to award the bid for Porta-John Services to Sussex Sanitation in the amount of $41,820 and all as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you
Thank
very much, Ms. Hickey. All right, at this time, we'll go ahead and close our regular meeting and open up our public hearing. I'll invite up Mr. Bailey to walk us through.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So there's just one item on the public hearing agenda for this evening. It's for Habitat for Humanity. They're the owners of 201 North Street. That's tax map and parcel 431-5.00-336.00. They're requesting to subdivide this lot into 2 equal-sized lots for the purpose of constructing 2 new single-family homes. This is the lot there. It was formerly a playground for the church across the street there on the corner of North Street and King Street, there on North Street. And they did submit a survey showing the proposed subdivision. And the 2 lots do meet the bulk and area requirements for the R2 zone. The minimum square footage there is 4,500 square feet with a 35-foot minimum width street frontage. Lot 1 is 4,569 square feet and 45.5 feet wide. And lot 2 is 4,566 square feet and it's 45.5 feet wide. So both lots do meet the requirements for the zone, for the minimum lot size. Mr. Kevin Gilmore from Habitat's here if there's any other questions that you want to answer. So.
Okay, are there any questions from the council? Councilman King?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a comment, not a question. I just want to thank you guys for your investment into our community. I mean, just the work that you've done. I mean, it was much needed and very much appreciated. So I just wanted to thank you for that investment.
Okay. Any other questions from City Council? Are there any questions from the public? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll reopen our regular meeting at 7:09 and back to Mr. Bailey.
Thank you. So this is the findings of facts for the public hearing. The project is Habitat for Humanity subdivision. The owners of the property are Habitat for Humanity. Property is located at 201 North Street. That is tax map and parcel 431-5.00-336.00. The zoning is R2, medium density residential. They're proposing 2 lots, and the lots do meet the area and bulk requirements for the R2 zone, which is a 4,500 square foot lot size and 35-foot minimum width. Lot 1 is 4,569 square feet with 45.5-foot road frontage, and Lot 2 is 4,566 square feet with 45.5 feet road frontage. Planning and zoning did make a favorable recommendation for approval at their July 6th meeting.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the request of Habitat for Humanity, owner of 201 North Street, tax map and parcel 431-5.00-336.00 for a subdivision of the lot into 2 equal-sized lots for the purpose of 2 new single-family homes.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. Are there any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman McCoy?
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman King?
Yes, based on findings of fact.
Councilman Henderson?
Yes, based on findings of facts.
And Councilman Bradley?
Yes, based on findings and facts.
Okay, thank you very much. Now that this is through, real quick question for Habitat. How soon do you think your project will start?
Probably 6 months.
Okay.
Be within the year we're going to have them done.
That's awesome. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it, Kevin. Okay, do we have any correspondence?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, under new business number 1, we're going to talk about the extension of the preliminary plan for the Seaford Town Center.
Mr. Perlmutter.
Mr. Perlmutter is going to join us up front.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
City Manager. Good evening. We're here tonight asking for an extension for our Seaford Town Center. Preliminary plan expires, I believe, August 25th. We intend to move forward with the project. We've done some consulting with our engineers in the last 6 months. But let me back up a second, and kind of tell you our time frame with our investments going forward in Seaford, so you know. We have one more site at the residences, which is the Building 4 building, which we will be filing for the DDD grant this fall to hopefully get awarded for the grant to put up our 4th apartment building on that site. Our previous 3 are fully rented right now, so the market is here for upscale development in Seaford. I think we've proven that. So we look, once we receive the grant, if we receive the grant, I should say, if we receive the grant, we will move forward with Building 4. That will finish out the residences. Then we will move over to the power plant project. We have some pretty grandiose ideas for the power plant. There have been some discussions with neighbors on the site. As you know, we were here several months ago to discuss that. Nothing was finalized with that, but to just also expand upon what we're doing, we just broke ground on a mega project in Salisbury. I know it has nothing to do with here, but in a way it does. We took over the marina site. We broke ground on that. It's roughly a $40 million project there. It's going to be 3 luxury apartment towers with 2 restaurants, retail, marina. And so we believe with what we're creating there, it's also going to have a large jumbotron screen. It's going to have a white sandy beach going down to the marina. So we believe with the restaurant we hope to attract there, we'll add an additional expansion to what we want to do here at the power plant. But we don't have a restaurant at this point yet for the power plant site. But I think with what we're creating right down the road, I think there's going to be some nice, we'll be able to piggyback off what we're doing down in Salisbury. So.
Okay, any questions from Mr. Perlmutter from council? Councilman King?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Perlmutter, first of all, thanks once again for your investment in our community. Can we talk a little bit about the power plant itself? Is it your plan to go in and renovate that and then hand the keys over to an investor, or is your intention to sell that, get that property up and running and then sell it? Can you talk a little bit more about what that looks like?
We have no plans of selling anything that
Okay.
we're doing here in Seaford. So
right.
if that's something that you're hearing on the streets,
Right.
there's nothing
Well,
to.
no, I guess my question was around the development of that. So if we're waiting for someone to come in and say, hey, I want that spot, to me, that potentially
Well-
could take longer than someone saying, hey, well, let me buy that and renovate that.
Well, as you know, the power plant site is a contaminated site. We experienced that on Building 1 and 2 at the residences. We were able to get a brownfield grant there, but basically, the grant money was just enough to pay the consultants. It was not enough money to do the cleanup. We did that out of our pocket. Right now, we've approached the federal government representatives here in Delaware to see if they'll make the brownfield grants higher, so developers, not just our site, but sites across Delaware that are taking these contaminated sites that want to develop them, more than $250,000. So supposedly, what I've been told is that they're trying to bring that through Congress, and if that happens, there'll be more money to the brownfield program. Again, that's a longer process to clean up, but it's a major cleanup of what's down there at the power plant.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But to expand beyond that, we have no intention on selling anything that we plan to develop.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Other questions, Councilman McCoy?
Yeah, there's just one for me. You talked about the 2-year extension for the preliminary plan, and then turning your attention to the power plant. When residents hear that, or the feedback that I get from residents are, this is one of the main properties they want to see developed. We hear that all the time throughout the city. If somebody came through, hypothetically, like currently, a couple months from now, said, hey, we would like to partner with you on this project, is it possible to do both congruently, or would you have to wait until this current project is done to move on to that one?
You mean Building 4?
Yeah.
And the power plant?
Yeah.
If someone came to us and, another developer wanted to consider joint venture, we will listen
Okay.
to all alternatives, but we will not give up control of
Understood, yep.
what we want to do. We made the investment here. We believe we are going to turn the downtown around, which we've started. And I think ultimately, it could be 3 years, could be 5 years from now. I think Seaford is going to be recognized as the best small town in Delaware with thanks to what we are doing and others. There's much more development that you all have approved and is happening here in Seaford, and I appreciate what your efforts have happened. But we're open to listening, but again, it would have to be the right party and it'd have to be a good marriage.
We agree on the vision of the city. It's just when people may hear this about a 2-year extension, in their mind, they might say, well, that means you're kicking the can down the road again on the power plant. Talking about us as a city. When it's a priority for the residents, they want to see something over there. They want to see more entertainment and liveliness in the city. I think we're on that track, but that's one specific property that really, in their mind, they see a lot of potential of, and as do you.
I appreciate that.
Other questions from council? If not, then I will accept the motion.
Councilman Hall, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the request to extend the preliminary plan approval for the Seaford Town Center Phase 4, through 9, until August 25th, 2025, 2 years as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman King seconds. Are there any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Bradley?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. All right. Thank you, Mr. Perlmutter. Thank you for being here. Okay, we're going to call up the chief for the Justice Grant.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, city manager.
Good evening.
I'll try to keep it brief. So we have been selected again this year to partner with, this time, 4 different agencies to receive the 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. It's a local disparate solicitation. Our portion this year is $18,051. With the other departments added together, it's a total of $60,617 for Sussex County. We propose to use the funds for the Seaford Police Department to purchase a X2E Skydio 5 gigahertz drone and related equipment. It's a rapid deployable drone that the patrol officers will have access to use. The goal is to have that quick deployment for critical incidents, missing persons, community events, and also to purchase IFAC, that's individual first aid medical kits that would be mounted right on the headrest in the patrol cars. We've had some recent experience where we need that rapid deployment of that gear as well. And if the council approves us to receive those funds, that's what we propose to use that for, sir.
Okay. Any questions for the chief in regards to this JAG program? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the recommendation of Chief of Police Marshall Kraft to submit a 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program, local solicitation as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Henderson. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, it's unanimous. Next, we have the recommendation for a 4-way stop.
Okay, so for about 3 years now, we've been doing a number of traffic studies throughout the city. And if you recall, several years ago, we made some speed changes here just to our west. And in that, the next location was East Seaford that we identified as a need to have traffic calming measures. And we have conducted a study there for placing a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of North Street and 3rd. And as you can see up here, we actually have 3 recommendations. I'll briefly cover those. We also have construction currently going on at North and Wolford. Wolford Street is being completely redone with sidewalks, being made one way to go westbound. And we think that that's the midway point between Norman Eskridge and 3rd Street. We believe, based on the traffic crashes that we'll go over here briefly, that needs a 3-way stop sign as well, and this is the perfect time to do it with that construction. And also with tons of foot traffic, children, bicycles over on Chandler Street, midway between Norman Eskridge and Douglas Street. We believe there needs to be another traffic 3-way stop there, and that, based on traffic congestion, appears to be Collins Street intersection with Chandler. And if you look up on the screen there, you can see where we propose to place that. Currently, there is stop signs on 3rd Street intersection with North, going east and west. We propose to place them on the north and southbound sides. And just as I covered a while ago, you can see the new red stop signs there on the north and south sides of Wolford Street. So in our crime view system, I went back and I ran the data between January 1 of 2020 and July 17th of 2023. Based on that East Seaford quadrant that you see highlighted in the border there had 41 crashes. On North Street, there were 12 crashes. On Chandler Street, there were 3 crashes. And you can see I've highlighted them in blue there as well. 6 injuries, 35 non-injuries, 15 hit and runs. And you can see the breakdown there on North and Chandler, Collins, Wolford, 3rd, and some private property crashes. And for other reasons, there's more data broken down. There were also 5 DUIs during this period of time, 2 of which was on North Street, 2 on Collins Avenue, and 1 on 3rd Street. So it's all right in that area that we're talking about, trying to slow traffic down for some traffic calming measures. And most of these crashes happen during daylight hours or dark lighted hours as well. This is a high-density area, and most crashes that are reported did occur on North Street. So just to give you an idea of some of the proactive initiatives that we've taken during this period of time, we did do traffic enforcement as well as warnings. We did 243 traffic citations, and as you can see, this kind of goes in line with the crash history. Most of those enforcement citations did occur on North Street and Chandler. We did issue 47 written warnings as well in that same area there during that period of time. So we were able to deploy our JMAR radar box, and yeah, this actually does a really good job for us to identify, one, is there a speeding problem or what the problem might be? And typically that determines whether you're going to look at speed bumps or stop signs or reductions in speed. And we did this at two different tolerance levels. One was anything in excess of 5 miles per hour and anything in excess of 10 miles per hour. And in this period of time, which was July 19th through the 21st for the analysis, if you look at the screen there to the left, it showed that 26% of all traffic that was analyzed had a 26% rating of enforceable violations. If you look at the next chart to the right there, 10-mile-an-hour tolerance level, 11% of all traffic showed a moderate to low enforceable rating category as well, which is, by the way, it is actually really low. That doesn't mean that there aren't cars that are speeding, and I can show you on the next slide the volume of traffic on this chart, and I know it's a little difficult to see, but basically from 20 to 30 miles per hour there, seems to be the bulk of the volume of traffic. So it's a 25-mile-an-hour posted speed limit. It's a wide road. It's a straight road. What that tells us, really, the data, is that we just need some common measures. We need people to slow down and stop at those intersections. In addition, if you look to the right, what those charts are on top is a combination of northbound and southbound traffic. The one in the middle there is called the near lane. That's actually the southbound lane, and the far lane or going away is the northbound. The average combined 85th percentile, which is what DelDOT goes by, speed on that road is 33.4 miles per hour. So in the studies that DelDOT does, typically they won't recommend a speed reduction at that low of a speed, although that doesn't mean that there doesn't need to be some intervention. So we'll continue presence and enforcement, and also putting these stop signs we believe will reduce crashes and make the public safer. And I didn't do this. It looks too pretty for something that I do. This is Tricia. I want to thank her for what she did here. This gives you a better view. Four-way stop recommended at North Street and 3rd. And I don't know if you want me to stop there because I know you have to vote independently. If you want me to just finish up real quickly and then we can go through it. Is that okay?
Yep.
So that's what it looks like. Now I can tell you that on the westbound side of North Street, there at the 3rd Street intersection, they do have ADA handicap corners there. They do not on the east side. So that's something I know looking down the road, it might be something to put on the recommendation for work to be done. This is the Wolford Street intersection, as you can see. There will be a stop sign for the westbound. It's going to be the one-way westbound. And this is what we propose to do, obviously, for north and southbound traffic. And we're actually having a conversation the other day. We recommend going ahead and putting that out there, obviously put it out to social media first, and place the signs to get everybody used to it. Since currently there are really not a lot of traffic down Wolford Street because of the construction. And I know Burley might have to order some signs, so there might be some delays. Now this intersection at Chandler and Collins is a little unique. It's a little difficult. Coming northbound on Chandler is not a problem. Road's normal. You can put your stop sign there, not a problem. But you can see on Collins where it merges there and goes north, it's really wide. Cars park on the southbound side there, and even with yellow corners, I don't know that they would have an easy time seeing just a stop sign. So Burley and I discussed it. We recommend placing a wide white painted line, thermal, what is that called again?
Thermoplastic.
Thermoplastic, across, all the way across, and then actually we'll have the word stop in addition to a stop sign. And as we were out there looking at this area, there was just tons of kids on foot, bicycles, going every which way up and down the road and across the street. We really think this would help a lot to improve public safety moving forward as well. We did not get the opportunity. We had some issues. We had to re-download the software to have the speed study on Chandler. But I'm happy to forward that to you once we get that later next week, just so you'll have that independently. And I guess before I finish, I don't have this one slide up there. I did try to keep it short. You know, I got a first surprise on here, right? So we had analyzed 3,690 vehicles during that period of time, really just a few short days. Posted speed limit 25. Based on all of that, the analytics show that there was 419 enforceable violations. And that shows 11% of enforceable violations. That's when you do the math, that's what it comes out to. About 419 cars could have been charged going in excess of 10 miles per hour. The highest rated or clock speed was 68 miles per hour. So it's not saying that they don't ever have a problem with someone speeding, because you always have that one. And then the lowest, obviously, was 6 miles per hour. Depends on where they pull out. So there does need to continue to be a presence in enforcement, and hopefully this will help prevent a catastrophe there.
Okay, are there any questions for the chief in regards to these 4 and 3 stop sign intersections? Councilman Holland?
Yes, sir.
Chief, is there a date on how soon these stop signs will go in place?
I think it could be really, really quick. Yes, sir. I think he's got enough to do 3rd and North and maybe Wolford right now. The other, like I said, it's going to need to be painted and you know, stop written and all. So I think we could do at least 1 or 2 right away. And I think the timeline is maybe 3 weeks for delivery, sir. Does that sound right, Charles?
I believe that's what Mr. Mears told us.
So within a month, I think we could probably have them deployed. I'd like to have them really before school starts, would be my goal.
That would be ideal.
And then notify the school, obviously. And,
Okay. Other questions for the chief? Councilman
Thank
King?
you. Is it possible to go back to the 4-way stop?
Is that one okay?
That one, that's perfect.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the etiquette, driving etiquette? Like, what does that look like? So, I mean, I had a great conversation with my wife on the way to the dump, and we kind of didn't agree on what that looks like.
Route 20 has a lot of stop
But a lot of
signs.
drivers, my point is, they,
Yeah.
including myself, didn't have a lot of experience with a 2-way stop, 3-way stop, 4-way
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
So what is Delaware law around a 4-way stop?
Well, eye contact is your friend, right? At the end of the day, they teach you in driver's education, you have to make eye contact, and it should be alternating. Just like over at Old Furnace and Middle Ford Road. You know, that's another one that it's one goes, then the next one goes, then the next one goes. Typically, the first one there is the first one to
So how
go.
about if they get there at the same time?
Then you have to make eye contact. Because, you know, if somebody pulls out, the law is going to tell you that you can't move or proceed out into an intersection or from a stop sign until it's safe to do so. So both operators could look at getting cited depending upon the nature of it.
And, I mean, that might not be a bad thing just to put out as a refresher. And then I noticed DelDOT does a great job with the flashing lights.
Well, we discussed
to warn,
this.
like, hey, coming up, there's something new going on here, slow down and take a look, and that brought awareness.
We discussed it, and I recommend that anytime we put out speeds reduction or any new signs, that I think there's the spinners, you know, that DelDOT's used, and they seem to be effective. That's more cost effective. I wouldn't obviously have no problems if they wanted to purchase solar light to, you know, to put up on there. I think that's a lot more, it's going to delay the implementation of it. I think we could probably get they have like the green guy floating around, or the flags that don't really hold up very well that we used on the yield sign. So I wouldn't recommend that, but the spinner or the green thing that flops
Yeah,
around.
and it doesn't have to be permanent. My suggestion was just, you know, the nudity, you know, through the implementation.
I agree.
Yeah, something just to bring attention.
Get their attention to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And social media blast and a presence when we do it to try to stop. And you want voluntary compliance and educate people, like you said, and worst case, then enforcement.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
Other questions from council? All right, if not, we're going to break this out into each street. So the first one is for a 4-way stop at North and 3rd Street. I'll accept a motion on that one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the recommendation of Chief of Police Marshal Kraft to add a 4-way stop on North Street at the North Street and 3rd Street intersection as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Henderson. Is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, that's unanimous. The next one is a three-way stop on North Street and Wolford Street. I'll accept the motion on that one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the recommendation of Chief of Police Marshall Kraft to add a three-way stop on North Street at the North Street and Wolford Street intersection as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Henderson. Is there a second?
Councilman Bradley, I second the
Okay,
motion.
thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, that one's unanimous. And then the last one is a three-way stop on Chandler and Collins Avenue. I'll accept the motion on that one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the recommendation of Chief of Police Marshall Kraft to add a three-way stop on Chandler Street at the Chandler Street and Collins Avenue intersection as presented.
Again, we have a motion from Councilman Henderson. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Councilman McCoy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Chief, very much, and we'll make sure we get this out as best we can to the public so they know this is coming. Okay, do we have any old business?
We do not, sir.
Okay, reminder of meetings.
Just one this time. 26th Annual Eastern Shore Afran Festival is Saturday, August 12th, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Ross Station Event Center.
Okay, thank you
all I
very
have.
much. We'll go to committee reports. We'll start off with codes, Parks and Rec with Mr. Bradley.
Trepidation is the word of the evening. Mayor Genshaw, City Manager Anderson, fellow councilmen, and guests. This morning I met with Mike, Katie, Trish, and City Manager Anderson. We'll start with Parks and Recs. Recently, I can't read my own writing, a pool and landscape cleanup was performed at the pool. It had been delayed because of weather conditions, but they have performed that act. 200 have now signed up for soccer. Adult pickleball is gaining momentum, but will probably be a spring event. Gateway Park Fountain is still non-functional. Cracks will be most likely repaired internally, and right now a bid has been solicited for a sealant repair that should put a more permanent solution on that. Seaford Community Garden is going to have a movie night in September, and that will be announced later. Friday the 21st, Parks and Recs had their professional day. Katie provided lunch, and our mayor attended and made a proclamation and decree. It was well-deserved for their efforts. Code enforcement. 225 building permits so far this year. Bel Air currently has 10 lots with either construction in progress or in the works. Friday Night Live looked well attended at 7:45 p.m. Katie thought there were over 100 in attendance. While walking scout, suspicious activity was observed at the waterfront and at the storefront on Pine Street by our house. Saturday's mail brought us 7 letters for residents living at our address. I'm assuming it's a part of the 19 that had their W-2s sent there earlier this year. I have brought them with me if you would like to so look at them, and I hope to turn them over to Chief Kraft, because it is definitely a violation. Okay, let's see. I've been really fixated on the waterfront lately, and if I sound redundant, I'm sorry. I have grown to look forward to our evening walks and would like to have other families see what I see. A place where it's beautiful and safe with minimal potential for wrongdoing. And it's up to us to fulfill that goal. And on a lighter note, I walk equipped with 2 items when I walk down on the waterfront. Pepper spray and a poop bag. Respectfully submitted.
Next, we have Police and Fire, Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have communications from Fire Chief Wilson. The total department responses are 2,891 calls for an average of 14.1 calls per day for the year. In other statistics for the year-to-date, there in the fire department, in-city calls are 323, out-of-city calls are 202, mutual aid and assists were 60 for a total of 585 so far this year. In EMS, there's 1,329. In-city, 786 out-of-city, and 93 assists for a total of 2,208 calls for the year. Under significant incidents, on July 16th, there was a motor vehicle crash with entrapment on Herring Run Road and Bridgeville Highway. The person was extricated and transported to Tidal Health, Nanticoke. On the next day, there was a motor vehicle crash with entrapment on Bridgeville Highway and Norman Eskridge Highway, and that person was extricated and transported to Tidal Health, Nanticoke. Apparatus status, ambulance B87 is out of service. It's having its damage repaired at a local body shop. Marine 87 is having some hull issues, and they're having it evaluated. City Manager, do you recall the year? Is that a 69 ski barge?
I remembered 67, but you could be
67,
right.
Okay. So the fire department's boat is really old, and it was not in service at Riverfest because it had damage to the hull. So they're evaluating their position on the boat, whether it can be repaired or whether they need to rotate to a new vessel. Pardon me. The last training was July 19th at the industrial park. It was part 2 of the engine company operations where they reviewed hydrant assignments. The next training is August 2nd, and the subject matter is to be announced. Under emergency medical services, ambulance A87 has an air leak with suspension. It's not a critical leak, and it will be repaired once B87 returns to service. A conditional full-time job offer was accepted by Kyle Peterman from Bridgeville. So if you encounter Mr. Peterman, please welcome him to the staff. There's actual 3 full-time vacancies currently, and they do have 3 applicants on file. However, the applicants are completing their training. They're still hiring part-time staff. The ambulance subscription is active for 2023, 2024. If you're aware of anyone who did not receive one, a membership request, please direct them to the firehouse so they can receive one. Now, I can say that I did receive mine just a few days ago, so preparing to send it back out with a subscription. Under news and events, the ladder truck specifications, Pierce Aerial was presented to the floor for its first reading. The final vote will be on Wednesday, July 28th by the members. Ambulance specifications, the wheeled coach was presented to the floor for its first reading, and the final vote will be on Wednesday, July 28th by the membership. I have a complete report by Chief Kraft for the period between July 10 and July 23. In the left-hand column of the chart, you'll see that there's the 2023 year-to-date charts with all crimes and a breakdown of other crimes. For this period, under all crimes, we had 224 reportable crimes, like 9 felonies, 51 misdemeanors, 8 violations, 0 civil, and 154 other complaints for an 85% clearance rate, which is above average. Overall, there's 21 pending active and 12 pending inactive complaints. If you take a look at the crime view chart, it's a little bit of an odd chart for this period because there was almost an equal volume of crimes for every day of the week, with the lowest being Thursday. And it escalated back up to Friday and Saturday, but you can see that Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday and Wednesday were almost equal in the number of complaints. And oddly enough, the highest time for the complaints was near midday. Under drug complaints, there were 20 drug crimes, 20 adult arrests, and during that period, there was one overdose that occurred, and the officers responded to Tidal Health. Under traffic, 283 traffic contacts, 79 citations and 5 warnings. 2 DUIs under this in this period that were alcohol related, none that were crash related. 30 crashes during this period, 4 injury accidents, 6 non-reportable and 20 reportable accidents. There were 4 hit and runs during this period, and it looks like a couple of them were on private property and a couple of them were on public streets, so about 50-50. Bicycle accidents, there was 1 bicycle accident on High Street during this time. And under significant events, the top item is an update where there was a carjacking that occurred in April, and after further investigation, it resulted in the identification of a suspect as Tavon Corbin, and who also was active with probation and parole. Warrants were obtained, and Corbin was arrested for robbery, first degree, and other possession of firearm by a person prohibited, other crimes, theft from motor vehicle, conspiracy second degree, as well as violation of parole from probation and parole. He was committed to Sussex Correctional Institute in default of a secured bond. There are other incidents here in respect for everybody's time. I will say on the last incident on the 23rd, Seaford PD was dispatched to a DOA which was located on North Pine Street. It was a drug overdose, is the suspected cause of death. The case was turned over to the medical examiner's office, and it's pending an autopsy, so a little bit of sad news there. Under events, I think we have a photograph of the Seaford Police Department's Youth Academy. That's the graduating class. The fine-looking group of people there. Want to thank SRO Wingate, Master Corporal Bradley, Corporal Ruark, and Patrolman Melvin for all of their efforts, among others, the chief and the administration, for putting this all together and making it a very successful class. The topics included, but were not limited to, daily physical fitness, trips to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., and to the Delaware State Fire School, and numerous presentations such as criminal investigations, search and seizure, and Miranda rights. So kudos to those students that put in the time and effort to go through the course. It was a pretty rigorous course. On the 15th, the police department was represented at the Community Unite Fun Day on the lot behind City Hall. Staff Sergeant Horn, PFC Wilson, and Cadet Brumley were in attendance there. Under training, on the 12th of July, there was Lexipol accreditation training, which the chief had, and child abuse investigations by Cooney and Hare. I'm sorry, I don't remember the ranks, but they were there. I'm sorry?
I believe it's PFC.
PFC Cooney and Hare?
I believe so.
Okay, so PFC's Cooney and Hare. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll have Administration, IT, Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They attended DMAC board meeting, and they attended the police department interviews, and a developer meeting with residents of Bel Air community was held at City Hall. And City Hall also hosted a meeting with residents from Crossgate and Governor's Grant, and they met with the developer of Nalong Capital Shopping Center. And the annual property tax bills is in the process of being mailed out. And they also assisted and attended various other meetings, and all the work is routine. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we have Electric, Councilman McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Had a few highlights. Since the last report, the crew have took down the Riverfest banners. Nick Moore went to meter school at Tesco in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Dalton Hignut took his second week of lineman training with TV PPA at DMAC. And they fixed some pole grounds on Jet Avenue. Regarding our director, he had his standard director's meeting, staff meeting, and wrote a letter recommending Dalton Hignut be promoted to Class C lineman, and wrote Greg Brooks' 5-month evaluation for a construction coordinator position. Over the course of the next few weeks, their goals are to set a new pole on Bridgeville Highway near my eye doctor for a riser pole, continue working in Muirfield 1 Phase 3, and continue changing the lights on Sussex Highway to LED. Mr. Mayor, it's been my report. Submitted in its entirety.
All right, thank you very much. Finally, Councilman King for Public Works Wastewater Treatment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights from each department, starting with the Public Works Department. Weed spraying continues throughout our community, and Riverfest cleanup is complete. The gutter broom motor on the sweeper was rebuilt, and the JCB backhoe was in the shop for repairs. The team continues to partner with the code department to clean up some derelict properties. The team installed 180 new 500-watt antennas to replace failing water meters, wall mounts, and everything is working real good now. Jumping over to the wastewater treatment facility. The plant, as well as some of the lift stations, experienced high flows from the heavy rains. And just kudos to the team there for handling that. I mean, that was a nightmare. So we got a lot of rain in a very quick amount of time. The plant as well, DENREC performed the PFAS sampling on 7/20. The plant looks good. The rural discharge application was received and is currently under review. Some of the upcoming projects over the next few weeks, they'll continue to spray weeds, install a new soda ash pump. Work continues with installing new water services, and some of the areas are on Shipley, Pennsylvania Avenue, and Hickory. Complete street patching, continue to paint curbs, and as always, continue work on our fire hydrants. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for their hard work. I know coming off of Riverfest is always it's a huge lift, so appreciate everybody. With that, I will accept a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion from Councilman McCoy, is there a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you.